Um, Today we're going to hear about another area in the Economic Development Council that most of us aren't familiar with because it's fairly new. We're going to hear from Aslan Meade. He's the EDC's Community Development Manager. A large part of his job is to promote the EDC Center for Business and Innovation, where businesses of all shapes and sizes can come to receive assistance in the way of coaching and training to match whatever needs they may have. He's also tasked with rural development, facilitating the South Thurston Economic Development Initiative, which he's going to tell us about because I'd never heard of it, and working with cities and towns in the local area like Yelm, Rainier, Bucota, Tenino, Rochester, Grand Mound, and is deeply engaged with projects focused on agriculture and local food production. He says he's happiest when networking and building relationships, partnerships, and coalitions. His baby project is the Thurston Investment Network, which he's here today to tell us all about. So let's welcome Aslan Meade.
Well, hello, and thanks for having me here today. Let's see if I can put that up a little bit higher. All right, I have to admit, I'm going to have Celia, from our director of our Center for Business and Innovation and one of your fellow Rotarians. She's going to hand out our fact sheet, kind of some questions and answers on the Thurston Investment Network. I'm sorry, you guys, you have fully impressed me, and I don't think I brought enough, so you might have to share a couple of copies with those. Really good turnout today. I guess just really quickly, I'll just mention STEADY. Have people heard about STEADY, South Thurston Economic Development Initiative? So it's just something that the EDC, we work with many partners, including the Port of Olympia, WSU Extension, the Visitor and Convention Bureau, Thurston Regional Planning, and we bring resources down into the rural communities. We meet with the chambers of commerce, city councils and mayors and local businesses, and they basically decide on a work plan of what they would like to work on in the rural communities. And so that is not today's presentation, though, but I just wanted to, since Larry said I was going to talk about it, I thought I'd give you a little heads up on that. But STEADY is very impressive. They are very committed to all the communities in the rural communities working together across the rural landscape. So a lot of momentum there. So, but today I am talking about the Thurston Investment Network. We have called it THINK for short. The most basic idea is just that it is a network of private individuals who, many people in the Thurston area have investments, right? You have a portfolio, you have made investments, but this is a model, a network, and a way for people to invest directly into local small business. So that's a little different than what we most of us are used to. So. Okay, that was the right one. So just really quickly, the model that we're following roughly comes out of Port Townsend. There's an organization up there called LION, the Local Investment Opportunities Network. And early about 2004, actually, Port Townsend has, there's some people who retire up there with some net worth and, some savvy investors. And they were all scratching their heads one day saying, is there a method? Is there a way that we can invest directly into our downtown theater, into our local creamery, into our local cidery? And so they came up with this network. For the first several years, they were keeping track of their metrics. And at that point in time, they had about an average of 5% return on their investment, which is pretty good. Oftentimes better than you can get in Wall Street these days. At a very low default rate. Sometimes they got paid back in cheese from the creamery or things of that nature. There was a kind of a willingness when you were working with a direct relationship with business owners that you knew, but they had a very low default rate. And then there was obviously this sense of pride of place, of caring about where you live, and that if you invested in that downtown theater, then you were going to make sure to go there, and you're going to make sure to get your friends to go there, and you're going to help promote that, and you wanted to see that business thrive and succeed. And so I want to get through this as fast as I can so I can answer questions. Usually that's the kind of heart of these presentations, is when you get to kind of grill me. So just to be clear, right now we're focusing only on loans And so equity is actually, it's possible through this model, but we want to start with the clearest legal ways we possibly can. We have been, our EDC board of directors, our attorney on the board is Jessica Jensen Law. She has spent a huge amount of time over the last year going through every aspect of this program to make sure that we're doing it legally. We have met several times with the Department of Financial Institutions here in Washington, which is the Washington version of the Security and Exchange Commission. And so we've gone through this very clearly. We've taken that model out of Port Townsend, and so right now we're going to focus on loans, but equity is possible down the line. And certainly as we go on to that kind of next the next point up there, it is membership based. So if the members of the network want to go towards equity, that is certainly something that we can achieve. So membership based, the membership is on the investor side. So the people who might be considering or willing to loan or be willing to even look at loaning to local businesses, they are the members. We require them to sign a membership agreement, attend a short training, and then we will make offerings or opportunities available to the members of the network. And so businesses, as they learn of the network, they will also have to sign an agreement form that they understand the parameters that we are functioning in, and they will have to go to a short training. And then we will basically create like a pipeline of potential opportunities of businesses who are looking for one reason or another to scale up their operations, open a new location, maybe they're looking for some equipment to scale up. They will provide these opportunities. We will make them available to the membership either directly through, we're looking at right now doing a secure online platform where a business sends in the appropriate paperwork. We have a checklist requiring them to provide an updated business plan and all their financial documents. We will post that on a secure website that members of the network only have access to. And then we would send out an email to the membership saying, there's a new offering up there. It's a restaurant, go check it out. We will also be doing some business showcase events. Right now we're looking at doing like 2, 3, 4 businesses in an evening time where we might focus on a specific industry, say microbrewing and distilling is a very hot topic these days. We would have a couple of different businesses looking to either start up or expand those operations, or maybe it's location specific. So maybe we would do a Lacey version, or even a specific area, Woodland Square or something. If there are several businesses in the same location who are applying to the network, we might highlight them in a showcase event. All right. So once the businesses are introduced to the network, it's really up to the individual members of that network to decide if this is something they want to learn more about, and any deals would actually be worked out directly between the business and the potential investors. And so we are not playing broker in any way. We are mostly just allowing that connection to be made between the business and the potential investor. All right. So all the terms of the deals are going to be worked out individually. It could, the rate, the length of terms, all those things are going to be worked out individually. Okay. And the whole point of this whole method or model is because if you are savvy as an investor or as a business potentially seeking funding, there are really expensive disclosures and filing fees. And a lot of small businesses, the amount they're seeking may be only in the tens of thousands of dollars, and the filing fees could be that much. And so we are working specifically through some exemptions to securities laws. And that's why we really have to have people sign an agreement and go through our trainings, because we really are staying within these parameters. To jump down a little bit, the one we are primarily starting with is called an isolated transaction exemption, and I won't go into too much details about that right now, but it basically says that you're limited to 3 people investing in a particular offering or opportunity. There is a non-public offering exemption that most people are familiar with. It's kind of the friends and family exemption. It's around having a pre-existing relationship with something, and that's something we can utilize further down the line. And that's part of the blessing of an organization like this, is that as a network is formed and businesses get to know potential lenders, then they actually can form that pre-existing relationship. What did I miss up here? So you don't have to be an accredited investor to make use of this. This is another really great way that this network works. And it's not, just to clarify, because we've been getting these questions a lot, it's not a loan pool. You're not pooling your money and then investing in a particular business. It's, again, that one-on-one relationship between business and investor. And it's not crowdfunding. We are not, if you're familiar with crowdfunding, we're not looking for 1,000 people to each give $100. Again, with the isolated transaction exemption, and specifically, there could be only 3 people per transaction investing in that particular business. And crowdfunding also doesn't expect a return on investment, and this network is set up to provide return on your investment. And so that's really the main what I want to talk about. This is just a piece that it comes from a book at the bottom, Michael Schuman's Local Dollars, Local Cents. So these numbers are even a bit off. I'm sure it's higher now, but in 2012, $30 trillion Americans had in liquid assets investments. So the stocks, bonds, mutual funds, life insurance, $30 trillion. And while we know that small business is responsible for at least half of all productivity, at least half of all job creation. And I want to say, I've seen some numbers, I think the Chamber put out some numbers recently that says that those numbers are much higher than half. While at least half of all productivity and job creation is created by small business, less than 1% of our investments go to small business. So if you could imagine that we could shift just that needle a little bit and start a process where we invest even some amount of our wealth in our community into our local businesses, it could radically change not only the businesses, but it could affect our tax base, our school systems, and everything else. And if we actually captured half of that $1 trillion, then a city the size of Lacey would be almost $2.5 billion. So that's an enormous amount of wealth that we have in our communities that's not staying in our communities and investing in our communities. So I feel like this program could be a real game changer in our economy and in our community. We are working in partnership with the Washington State University Extension and the Association of Washington Cities. They have taken this Port Townsend model over the last 2 years, and they've been starting little pilot projects in rural communities. And they have been working with us closely as we go through this work with our attorneys and with the Department of Financial Institutions. And now as we actually just launched 2 weeks ago, we feel like we have this a model that they are now going to make available to every city and town in the state of Washington. So again, really exciting. And as every city comes online, we kind of learn a little bit more and we share resources and understandings and forums and best practices. And again, if that could be a $2.5 billion infusion just into Lacey, imagine it statewide. So again, I'm very excited about this process. We are hosting it at the EDC Center for Business Innovation. We feel like that is a fantastic partnership. If you has everyone in here at some point now been to the Center for Business Innovation? Hands up, anyone? I won't call you out if you haven't been there. But so we have the new facility as of last year with the South Puget Sound Community College's Lacey campus. It is really a state-of-the-art facility that doesn't really exist maybe in Washington or anywhere where there's this many concentration of different business services. So no matter what phase your business is in, from startup to advanced, whether you're seeking help with marketing, whether you're seeking help with your finances or writing your business plan, or you're looking for help on how do you do government contracting or energy efficiency, you walk in our door and we have a policy that we will match you up with the right person for your business. And so that really, in the cities that have already started to follow this model, having a mentor or a coach or trainings that you can be a part of, it really can help that business be ready to receive the finances, to that access to capital that the network can provide. And so I think CA also handed out, we have just a little called Caffeinate Your Business. This is something that we do on the, which Wednesdays? Second Wednesdays of the month, in the morning at the center. We're right there on 6th Avenue across from the Dancing Goats. Dancing Goats actually provides the coffee for the event. And it's just, if you wanted to come in and learn more about the Center for Business Innovation and all the different departments that are there and all the ways they serve business in the region, we invite you to come, second Wednesdays of the month. And so I'm sure I can talk a lot more up here. I do want to open up the questions. I guess I would just say that we did just launch on the 15th of February, so just a couple weeks ago. We had a nice turnout. I did not know, this is a baby of mine that I've been working on for many years, and I did not know. I was kind of a nervous father, and we actually filled the room and had to bring in more chairs, so that was a great thing to see. We also did a kind of straw poll of raising hands, and more people raised their hands in the audience on the investor side, as opposed to the business side. I know that number will change because once businesses hear of this, they will come. But we are really focusing on building the network. So that's one of the reasons I'm here today. But whether you're interested on the business side or potentially in the investor side, there's no commitment. Celia has a sign-in sheet. I did not think that there would be such a great turnout. So if we fill up the front, can you just write your information on the back? We're just looking if you're interested in more. So we had this launching event on the 15th. We had trainings the next day for both interested businesses and interested investor members. We are looking at probably the next public event will be a showcasing event that we will highlight some of these businesses. We will do another round of trainings for both the businesses and investors before that. We're looking at probably late April, but we haven't chosen a date yet. So at this point, we are going out, spreading the word. We're going to be on one of the local radio stations. We are asking people that if you are interested, invite us out to, we were just at the Tumwater Chamber last week. We're at your Rotary this week. If you think of people individually who might be interested, please pass them on. My contact information are on that question and answer sheet. I also have business cards certainly I can share. If you're interested as a business, as you're interested as a potential investor member, if you're interested in just helping spread the word, those are all ways that you can help this process. And now, ask me questions, please.
What's
Yes.
your web address?
So the web address is, it's thurstonedc.com, and then it's is it backslash think?
Yeah.
Or think backslash, one of those two. Sorry about that.
Think.
All right, Mr. Mayor.
So, are you providing all the forms for the transaction? So, all the legal documents for it, or how's the business and the investor fill out the contract? They have to go to another lawyer or something to have a contract filled out?
So we would recommend that, but we are staying out of the brokering position. So we are, Jessica Jensen as our attorney has said that maybe at some point down the line when she feels comfortable enough, she may design some of those forms. But in the meantime, we go over that in the trainings, but it is really up to figuring that out between the member and the business. If some of the members we anticipate being savvy and already having, maybe even some of those forms already or access to that through an attorney or whatnot. But otherwise, we suggest, we are suggesting the businesses, seek counseling and training through the EDC and the Center for Business Innovation. Depending on the savviness of the investor, we certainly encourage you to do your due diligence. We are not vetting these businesses. We are not telling you this is a good investment. So yes, the terms and the forms, the contract is going to have to be worked out individually. Down the line, we may be able to provide more support as we go. We just want to make sure not to cross that legal line. But it's a very good question. Mr. McGregor.
Aslan, I have two questions. Number one, you mentioned membership. Is there a fee involved to become a member, or is it just an interest in getting there and you go through the training to become a member? And the second question is there a minimum amount that people would want to invest, or is there wide open?
So great questions. First, there is no fee associated for the investor member or for the business. Right now, the EDC is doing this out of the kindness of their heart, I would say, more out of the commitment to the local economy. So right now, they are paying for my staff time to administer this and promote this, and we have not figured out a revenue-generating piece to it. And so that is something we do need to figure out at some point in time to pay for the staff time. But right now, it is free for both the member and the business. And the second question was?
Is there a minimum amount that someone would need to invest?
So no, it's really going to be what the business is seeking. Some of the early businesses I'm working with right now are looking at that kind of $50,000 range. And that seems to be one of those areas that, we are also working with local banks and credit unions. We're not trying to take business that would rightfully go to a bank or credit union. We want to refer appropriate potential businesses to each other. But that looks like an area that oftentimes the banks are not that interested in the 50,000 and less. WSU and the towns they've already started with, they're saying that it's been on an average about 100,000, but there is no limit using the isolated transaction exemption. It could be $1 million or more. But with that isolated transaction, it would have to be 3 people who came up with that amount. So if it was 100,000 was what the business was seeking, it could be that Mr. McGregor comes up with 50,000, and Andy and Larry each came up with 25,000, and that would be that way that could work in that process. Or it could just be one community member who lends the money for the whole 100,000. So, yes, sir.
So are these transactions underwritten according to a standard policy, or is it up to each individual investor to figure out if they want collateral, what their rate of return needs to be, and all of the payment terms and all of that?
All of that is up to the business and the lender investor to figure those pieces out. We've had Ron Nielsen from our Small Business Development Center do parts of the training, and Jessica Jensen as the attorney, and they all suggest that on the investor side, you make sure to have collateral and you make sure to look for the things, and then we tell the business on this side, the lender's going to be looking for things like that. But it really is. I went to a showcase event up in Whatcom County a few years back. They created a network called WIN, Whatcom Investment Network, and that business offered an 8% return, and that was his offering, and then it was up to the businesses. They could negotiate that process, and the length of the terms and everything, it's really up to the individuals to work it out. And then, question here.
About how many people right now are in the pool of people asking for money? And then of that group, how many are new business startups versus existing businesses that throw money?
So we literally just launched 2 weeks ago. So there was 15 businesses that attended the training the next day, and I've had questions and businesses contacting me by phone and email. We did get some great coverage through Thurston Talk and the Squally Valley News, the Business Examiner, and others. And so it's starting to get a life of its own. So I don't really, nobody is really at that stage yet where they've filled out all the right forms. We have not created that, we're still in the process of creating that secure website, so we're not quite there yet. Surprisingly, the vast majority of the businesses that I've been talking to are already existing businesses who are looking to scale up their operations in one way or another. This works really well with the EDC's program, because we have a program specifically called Scale Up right now, which helps businesses who are at least between the $150,000 to $500,000 in revenue process to create the systems they need to start, what do they need to scale up to the next level. And so this kind of works really well in that place. For showcasing events, my preference at this point is, we would showcase some well-loved, already existing businesses in the community so we could get some early wins. Obviously, a startup is way more risky. So. Further questions?
Follow-up?
Yes.
Do you have a sense of what your pool of capital available might be at this point?
I really do not. They just, where did they just? Twisp up in northern Washington. They just launched, and they did a kind of I'm trying to think of the word. Like, they didn't show their names. I can't think of that word, but they did a little poll, like a written poll, to see what amount of capital in the room was, and just that little community of Twisp. I mean, there are some retirees from Seattle and whatnot up there, but there was like $500,000 in the room. I would guess that after we get up and running, Thurston County is going to be the biggest population that has ever taken on a project like this. So our network could have some pretty significant capital in it. We have some people with some worth here. So. Does that answer that question?
Yes.
Okay, not really, but okay. Further questions? John's coming up on my left side. Okay, and yes, and Celia is a member here, so if she shows up on a regular basis to Rotary, then you can ask her future questions. And Celia, as the director of the CB&I, she really is, she has been in this process all the way. Even before I started working at the EDC, we were going to meetings together. So Celia can answer any question you would have with the network. All right, well, thank you for this opportunity.
Aslan, thank you. That's very interesting, kind of exciting to hear about this. As part of our tradition, we donate a book on behalf of each of our speakers to the South Sound Reading Foundation. But we ask you to please autograph that, so you can do that inside the front cover, and I'll get that back from you.
And the title is. And the title is.
Oh, and I keep forgetting. I always want to know the titles and hope it relates, but it doesn't. It says Amelia Bedelia's Masterpiece. So that's your masterpiece.